Welcome back. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel that are in the chat. Those following the faith of Yah's righteousness, praise the Most High. So we're going to continue our study in the book of Revelation. And we're going to continue now in the fifth trumpet. We have done 4 trumpets. So we're going to continue in the 5th trumpet. And let's go there. Now, if you recall, brothers and sisters, let me go back over here. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I see a question. All right. Sorry about that. If you recall, when we talked about the book of Revelation in general, one of the things I said about the book of Revelation is that it's a compilation of things spoken of by the prophets. That nothing in the book of Revelation is original in terms of like it didn't start there. Everything in the book of Revelation has its origin in what we call mostly the Old Testament, though some New Testament as well, but it's mostly what we call the prophets of the Old Testament. Okay. And at the time that John was given this revelation from the Most High, the prophets of the Old Testament were established in terms of when people talked about scriptures, that's what they were talking about, the Old Testament. It wasn't until later that letters like this one or John's book of Gospel of John, which was reportedly written after Revelation, or any of the letters that we call the New Testament became known as scripture. But prior at this time, it was all the Old Testament prophets. So when you're looking at the book of Revelation, you're really looking at a compilation, a combination of various Old Testament prophets. Okay. So with that in mind, when we understand that, also somebody asked a question. I don't want to get Sister Bathma too far off of what we're trying to study here. Historical context. I will talk about that. Somebody asked about historical context because we are dealing with a lot of history here, but we will talk about that as we go to this trumpet, actually. So we'll get into that. Okay, we'll get into that. But let's go back and look at Daniel 11. I want to go back and look at Daniel 11 before we start here, because Daniel 11, unfortunately, is misunderstood by Christians for sure. But and because most of us are coming out of Christianity, we lack an understanding of Daniel 11. But when you're looking at Daniel 11 from the Hebrew perspective, understanding who the chosen people are, Daniel 11 actually starts in Daniel 10. Okay, so Daniel 10, 11, and 12 are one group together. Okay, one contextual prophecy together. Daniel 10, 11, and 12. All right. So when you look at it like that as a whole, it helps you understand what's going on. Now, if you remember from Daniel, we saw 4 successive kingdoms. And Zechariah told us that these kingdoms are the powers that scattered Judah and Israel. Right? So we see that there's been a lot of powers on the earth as far as empires are concerned. But the Most High targets 4 because they have a hand on literally scattering the chosen people. Okay. And we saw that it was Babylon, the Medes and the Persians, which were one empire, and then the Greeks, which are divided into 4, and then the Romans. And the Romans starting off as a military political power, and then as we're talking about today and going into Revelation, transforming into a religious power. Okay, so far. So when we looked at Daniel, especially Daniel 2, Daniel 7, Daniel 8, it focused on those 4 empires. And then when we got to Daniel 8, if you remember, it just discarded Babylon and started focus on the Media Persian Empire and it went straight through to papal Rome with the little horn. All right. So we have to keep that in mind as we're looking at Daniel 10, 11, and 12, that those successions of empires who scattered Israel and Judah are still being discussed. Because as we saw in Daniel 2, in Daniel 8, and in the book of Revelation, Rome is the last power. The Roman power that transforms into a religious power and then comes back and becomes not only a religious power, but a beast or a kingdom or a government entity, and now working through the United States. That's going to be playing the role all the way to the return of Messiah and the establishment of Messiah's kingdom. Okay? All right. So we have to understand those things as we're getting ready to look, as we're looking at Daniel chapters 10, 11, and 12, which, as I said, is really one contextual thought, right? It's one contextual thought. So it starts off, and I'm not going to go through every aspect of it, but I'm just going to give you just certain aspects so you can understand contextually what's going on here. All right. Does that make sense, everybody? Testing 1, 2, 3. Everybody can hear that? So we're going to just start with chapter 10. Now we're dealing with the fifth trumpet. All right. So I'm just going to start off here with Daniel chapter 10. So let's start off here. Daniel chapter 10. I'm going to start chapter 10, and I'm going to go from verse 1 down to verse 8. Daniel chapter 10 from verse 1 to 8. Okay, just again, I'm going to keep reiterating. 10, 11, and 12 is one contextual thing. So don't let the word chapter mess you up, because it's all one contextual thing. Okay, that's what I'm going to show you here. All right, so in the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long. Remember that from Daniel 8. The thing was true, but the time appointed was long. And he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision. So remember how the 2,300 years was hidden from him. He was shown that it was a long time before the sanctuary would be cleansed, but he wasn't shown any details. And then in chapter 9, Gabriel came to him and said, I'm going to give you skill and understanding. And he said, consider the vision, talking about the 2,300. Now the Bible is telling us he's got understanding of the vision. All right, he understands it. But as we're going to see, there's certain parts he didn't understand. And he wasn't going to understand because it was for us to understand at the end. All right. But okay. So now let's go verse 2. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks, 21 days he was mourning. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Now this should sound familiar to you if you read Revelation chapter 1, because John pretty much reported the same thing when he saw Messiah. Okay, now the difference here is he's telling us that he was by this river and he saw this being. And you know who that being was. It's Messiah, right? So we saw that. It's Messiah. So he retained no strength. Okay, now, as Daniel 10 goes on, you're going to see when he's describing the 21 days, he's talking about how Gabriel was being hindered from coming to him. And you remember in Daniel 8, when the Messiah said to Gabriel, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. Remember that? He said, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. And so here he's doing it again. He's sending Gabriel. Messiah is there, and he said, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. He just doesn't say the words here, but it's the same process that's going on. All right. So let's take a look in Daniel chapter 10. So Daniel's scared. He saw the Messiah in glory, and he retained no strength, just like John did. Verse 9. Yet heard I the voice of his words. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy Most High, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. You notice he was sad for 3 full weeks. That's 21 days. And it was the time that he said the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me. Now, let me explain that. The devil is the prince of this world. So whatever power, and you saw when we looked at Revelation, that the Bible says the dragon gave the power, seat, and authority to the beast, and the dragon was also in the lamb-like beast. So every kingdom that rules this earth, the prince of that kingdom is the devil, is Asatan. You understand that? So whenever any kingdom is ruling on this earth, just like it showed in Revelation, and we're going to see it in chapter 13 when we get there again, but it's the dragon. That's the prince of this earth, the Bible said. Remember, Messiah said, the prince of this world cometh and have nothing in me. Talking about Asatan. Okay. And also, Paul called him the prince of the power of the air, that the spirit that ruleth in the children of disobedience. So here in Daniel, when he's talking about the prince of Persia, he's talking about Asatan himself that was trying to stop him from getting to Daniel. And why? Why would he do that? Because this is a special angel, it's Gabriel, right? And so you know that the order of things, Father gives Messiah a message. Messiah sends an angel with that message to his servant for his servant to give to the brethren. Well, Asatan decides, no, man. I'm not letting you get through, Gabriel. I know where you're coming from. I know who you are, and I'm not letting you get through. So they were battling for 3 weeks. Gabriel trying to get a message from the Messiah to Daniel, and Asatan stopping it, which is why Gabriel, in his absence, wasn't bringing Father's spirit with him. And Daniel was what? He was mourning 3 full weeks. You ever find, sometime when you feeling depressed, that's what's going on. The Father's trying to send a spirit to you, and there's a battle going on. And you just feeling depressed and not knowing why. There's a battle going on. The spiritual war is more powerful than the physical war. Okay, it's more real and more powerful. And the things that happen in the spirit world dictate what happens in the physical world. Always. We have to remember that. Okay, don't look at the flesh. Always remember the spirit. You understand? Always remember this is a world with spirit. Okay, and everything is working from that spirit that's played out in flesh. So here, Gabriel is sent with a message, and he's being stopped for 3 weeks. He's trying to get through, and for 3 weeks, Asatan is stopping him. Okay, so here we go. Daniel chapter 10, verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But then he says, but lo, he says, but look, lo means look, right? He says, but look, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. Now, when you look at that translation, it's not one of the chief princes. Michael is the chief prince. So when you look at the translation, he'll say, look, Michael, the chief prince, came to help me. So they were battling for 3 weeks, and Messiah himself said, okay, let me intercede here. And he overcome Asatan and let Gabriel go through. Okay. Michael, one of the chief princes. Well, Michael means Mikael. When you look it up in the Hebrew, it means one like the Most High. Okay, which we understand to mean that Messiah represents the Father. He's not the Father, but he represents the Father. So he sent Gabriel with a message to go to his servant Daniel. Asatan tries to stop him, and so Messiah himself has to come and let Gabriel get through. Okay, so then he says, Michael, one of the chief princes, look, that's who's standing on the river Gabriel. He says, look, Michael, one of the chief prince, came to help me. And I remained there with the kings of Persia. Verse 14. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. So, Gabriel's mission is to show Daniel what's going to be happening to Daniel's people in the last days where we live. Okay? Gabriel's mission from Messiah, who got it from the Father, is to show Daniel what's going to happen to the Hebrews in the last days, which is where we are. All right? And so he said he was fighting with the prince of Persia because Persia was in charge. Persia was in charge, right? So if it was the world power, it was first Medes and the Persians, Asatan is the one. He would be now the prince of the United States, right? He looks like a lamb, but the lamb speaks like a dragon. So he'd be now the prince of the United States. See? Okay. And he's dressed in Christianity. Ooh. Dressed in the lamb's coat. He's dressed in Christianity. And he's the prince of the United States. We're going to see more of that later. Okay. Verse 15. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, what by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I retain no strength. For now, how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remaineth no strength in me. Neither is there breath left in me. So he's telling Gabriel, how can I talk to you? Do you see what I'm seeing over here? How can I talk to you now? So that's what he's saying. Gabriel's trying to get up, man. I got to tell you something. He's like, man, how can I talk? Do you see what I'm seeing over here? How can I just ignore that? I have no strength. Okay. Verse 17. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remaineth no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. Then there came again and touched me one like unto the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me, and said, O man greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened, and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. So he gave him the spirit. Angels carry Father's spirit. And he says, be strong. Whew, spirit. He said, oh, he strengthened me now. Right? So now you strengthened me. You can talk now. I'm ready. Okay. Then said he, knowest thou wherefore I am come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. Watch this. And when I am going forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. So he's telling Daniel, Asatan is now working through the Persian Empire, and then there's going to be a succession to the Grecian Empire. And we know that. Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, right? So he's going to be a succession to the Grecian Empire. And then Asatan will be the prince of the Grecian Empire. All right? All right? Prince of Greece. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things. But Michael, your prince, Mikael, your prince, is the one that can deal with me on the scripture. Nobody else can. And I'm come to tell you what's in the scriptures. Okay? Now, he starts off in what's called chapter 11 let's look at the first verse and the second verse. Also, I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. Remember when Darius the Mede took the kingdom at 62? And then he had Daniel thrown in the lion's den? Gabriel said, I was by his side trying to strengthen him. Because Darius knew he shouldn't have put Daniel in jail and the pit of lions. Remember, he threw him in the den of lions. And then after Daniel was saved from the den of lions, the angel came and shut the lions' mouths. That was Gabriel. Then those men that schemed against Daniel were thrown in there. Remember that? He said, I was the one that was there. See? And not, one day we're going to have our angel tell us. You remember when you was in trouble that time? When you almost died? I was the one that was there. Imagine that. Okay, verse 2. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. So there were 3. He said there's going to be 3 kings in Persia. Okay. And we know them when you look at Ezra. There was Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes. Those are the 3 kings. Ezra tells us that. Cyrus, Darius, Artaxerxes. And then came Greece. Okay. Then Greece came. So now he's going to give Daniel everything we have already seen. So you're going to see Greece come. And we know Greece started off with Alexander the Great. And then it was divided into 4 kingdoms, right? Remember, the great horn was divided and broken and became 4. Remember that? So then you have 4 kings. And we talked about the 4 generals of the Greek Empire that divided Alexander the Great's kingdom. We talked about Seleucus, Ptolemy, Cassandra, and Lysimachus. Remember that? And then I told y'all that eventually it was just Ptolemy and Seleucus because they were all fighting for power. And they became the north, king of the north, and the king of the south. And each area took various powers. So in other words, the king of the north started off with Seleucus, but ended up becoming Rome. Listen here closely now. The king of the south started off with Ptolemy. Now, I'm gonna touch you here. I'm gonna touch on your little history now. You ready? The king of the south started off with Ptolemy. Okay, so it was starting with Greeks. Then after the Greeks came the Romans, right? Now, much later, about the time after Constantine, what religion started dominating the South? Egypt and what we call the Middle East. What religion came after the Greeks and the Romans and came and started dominating the South? That's right, it was Islam. So when you have in Daniel chapter 11, you end up in the north with Vatican and Christianity, and the south, Islam. Okay, keep that in mind now. Now, let's go to Daniel chapter 11. We're going to skip ahead now. Now we understand what I just said. We understand where Islam comes in. Let's take a look at it. Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. And this is where Revelation chapter 9 comes in. Okay, so Daniel chapter 11. We had just read up to verse 39, the last section, about how Christianity came all over the place. And in the name of Christianity, name of the Pope, name of Catholicism, taking over all lands. But wait a minute, verse 40. Daniel chapter 11, verse 40. Watch this. And at the time of the end, shall the king of the south push at him. So the king of the south, Islam, is going to push against the king of the north, Catholicism and Christianity. Well, it already happened, as we're going to see here. Because we're in the 6th trumpet now, and we're talking about the 5th one. So everything before the 6th already happened. So this already happened. Okay, watch. At the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, with horsemen, with many ships, and shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. So let's look at this now. Islam pushed against Christianity. That is how you got the Ottoman Empire. We're going to talk about that in more detail. Somebody asked a good question. How do I get the historical context? This is how you get the historical context. Okay, you ready? I want to make sure y'all hear me now. Okay, you start off with the 2300 years and the first arrival of the Messiah. You start off with that prophecy. That prophecy gives you the landmarks upon which every other thing is built. Okay, you follow me so far? So we remember when we studied the 2,300 years and Gabriel came and told Daniel 490 years or 70 weeks is cut off or determined. The first 490 years is for your people to make an end of sin, to meet the Messiah. Remember that? And we found out when we looked in Ezra that those decree was given to restore and build Jerusalem was 457 BC. From that point, you get all the way to 1844. And then from those in that history, everything else is built. Okay, in that history, everything else is built. So we know that you got to 1844 in the sixes. 1844 came and Bible says the door was opened, right? And the 144,000 start to appear, right? And so we're going to see more also as we go to the sixth trumpet. So we know that prior to that, all of this other history happened. Y'all follow me so far? So prior to 1844, all this other history we're talking about happened. The rise of the Catholic Church, the rise of Islam, the rise of Judaism. All of that happened prior to 1844. Yeah, okay? So you start off with the historical context the Bible gives us of the 2,300 years, and then you build from there. Now, once you get to the sixes, now you're where we live, okay? So now you're dealing with history from 1844 all the way to now, and all the way past now to the sevens where you get to Messiah. So that 2,300 years is the vital thing, though. So once you got that, that's the waymark. That's the anchor that everything else is built on. So you know before 1844, all of this happened. Every event that takes place in the first five churches, the first five seals, the first five trumpets is before 1844. Okay, everything's before that. And then from 1844, where we saw the angel rise back up with the seal because 144,000 wasn't sealed, till now is the development of the 144,000 and the return of the Messiah. Okay. And then the sevens, we're going to be dealing with the destruction of the kingdom of this earth. Okay. And this is all we know now from studying the feast and studying everything we study in the word. We know we're just a few years away from that. Okay. We know. Okay. So that's how we get everything. So all you got to do now, once you understand that, you look back at it's going to give you time period. It's going to give you numbers to help you. We're going to see. It's going to give you numbers to help you. Yeah. Okay. So when you end up looking at history for the context of what happened, so you do look at some history, but the Bible gives you the waymarks where you're going back to. Okay. It'll show, watch. It's going to bug you out, but we'll show you in a second. Okay. So now, the king of the south, which is Islam, is going to push against Christianity. Now, the Byzantine Empire was started by Constantine. You can look that up. Constantine is the one that started that. It was him that said, I'm going to become a Christian. Okay? And he added that to the plethora of the other false gods he worshiped. He didn't give up any false gods. And then he added this cross. He said he saw a sign in the sky and he saw a cross and he said, and this sign conquer. And he went and he started Constantinople. He founded a city that's now Turkey. It was then called Constantinople. He had two seats of power, one in Rome and one in Constantinople, after his own name. Okay. Now, at that time, in 1303, there was a battle. Because at that time, remember now, Christianity, Roman Catholicism was officially established in the 6th century. In the 7th century came Muhammad, right? I mean, Islam knows that. Muhammad came in the 7th century. That's when he was born, and he developed. He couldn't even read or write. He would dictate, and scribes would write down, or Arab scribes would write down what he said, and that became the Quran. Guess how you got it? So Muhammad would dictate to the Arab scribes, and they'd write down the words, and that what became the Quran. Okay, that was the 7th century. And I think it took about 30 years for them to compile what became the Quran. Okay, now, after Muhammad came on the scene, they was really, they being the Arabs was pushing Islam. I mean, it caught on like fire, and they was zealous, put it that way. They were going into all nations they could, and they were taking over. And some people would convert, and those that wouldn't convert would be forced to convert. And they went all into Africa with it, West Africa, North Africa. They went all into what's called the Middle East with it. They went all the way to India with it. That's why today in India is really what's now, you got Bangladesh, India, and you got Pakistan. All of that used to be India. But when Islam came through, you had the people that were originally Hindus in India. And they wasn't having that Islam. But then there was some that did. And the battle caused a division. So now you got, and they're all the same bloodline people. Pakistanis and Indians and Bangladesh people are the same bloodline people. But now you have on one side Pakistan, on the other side Bangladesh, and in the middle the majority is still India, and it's mostly still Hindu. Okay, but all of that happened as a result of what happened in the 7th century with Muhammad. So eventually, some centuries went by, and they were called the Ottomans. They were leaders of Islam and the Islamic movement, and they were called the Ottomans. Okay, and they were pushing against the Byzantine Empire. And there was a battle in 1303 where an Ottoman leader overcame a Byzantine leader. And they were battling for that land. And for 100, remember this number now, for 150 years, the Bible going to show us they battled until 1453, when the Byzantine Empire fell and Turkey became into existence and Constantinople became Istanbul. And let me tell you something. From that time to now, Islam has been getting beaten by Rome through the United States. You want to know why all of these wars are happening in the Middle East and all these Islamic countries? Why you also have this rise of ISIS and these and all these different, this is all staged. It's all planned. It's Rome spanking Islam. That's all it is. Because you got innocent men, women, and children getting bombed. Just this week, you had they said the Biden stood up and said, we took out an Islamic leader, but they didn't tell you how many innocent people were bombed, killed. You know, when they go to get this dude, whoever they killed. Okay. It's Islam being spanked. And put it this way. Let me put it to you like this. Let's say it's you. You living in your house. You got a wife. Let's say you got 3 children. It's you, your wife, 3 children. You're just working hard, trying to survive. Right? And then a drone strike comes, kills you, destroys your house, kills your wife and children, kills you, your wife and children. Only thing left is one of your little boys is left. And then they found out the United States did it. And that happens over and over and over again. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? If you're the little boy, what are you thinking? They killed your mother, your father, your sisters. They destroyed your house, left you destitute. There wasn't no Social Security to help you. Wasn't no emergency fund out there to help you. But here comes some people saying, let's rally together and kill those infidels. Let's have a jihad against them. What you think they're going to do? That's what's been going on for centuries. It's at a height right now, but it's been going on a long time. Okay, it's been going on a while before there was even bombs. Okay, so that's here in Daniel chapter 11. Notice what it says in Daniel 11. Let's read it again. Daniel 11, verse 40, and go into 41. At the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind. Remember, Rome never employs an army, its own army. It uses the United States as its strongman. Okay? It uses the U.S. as its arm as its enforcer. That's the word I'm looking for. As the enforcer. It uses the United States, and the United States leads the earth. So that whatever the United States does, Britain is going to follow them. Germany is going to follow them. France is going to follow them. You all right? And so when you have what they call it, the United Nations Coalition. So when there's a war, all these nations fighting with the led by the United States against whoever is the enemy. Whoever the enemy is. Okay? And usually those enemies are in the Middle East where they practice in Islam. You see what I'm saying? That's what's going on. And it starts right here. The king of the south push him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen, with many ships, and shall enter into the countries and overflow and pass over. That's what you're seeing right now. That's what you're seeing. The only ones that get away are the ones that become allies, right? They become allies of the U.S. Pakistan was an ally of the U.S. That's why they got spared. Their general, who was at the time of 9/11, was a general of their army, was the leader of their country, their prime minister, and he was down. He's like, no, we're gonna help you. we're not doing it. So when you surrendering now, right? Okay, all right, you cool. You surrendering now. And any nation that doesn't recognize Israel is an enemy. And those are the ones getting spanked. You see how this is played out? Okay. Now, remember that 150 years I told you, 1303 to 1453. These are historical facts. The battle where the Byzantine lost to Ottoman, the beginning battle was called Dimbos. D-I-M-B-O-S. Dimbos. The battle called Dimbos. Look that up. In 1303, and they fought for 150 years until Byzantine fell in 1453. Let's look at it. Revelation chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9. Ready? Revelation 9, beginning at verse 1. Now, wait before we get started. Let me ask you this. Who are the people that receive Yah's seal in their foreheads? Where do they come from in the biblical sense? Who are the people that receive the seal of the Most High in their foreheads? Who are they? I mean, that's right. They're 144,000 Hebrews. That's right. The Israelites. That's what I want. The Israelites, right? And those people who join with the Israelites, right? It's the 144,000 plus those people joining with them. Remember, Noah plus the 7, right? So the Gentiles that, remember we just read earlier today, the Gentiles that are saved are joining with the 144,000 and with the Israelites. They receive the seal, right? Now, so the people that do not receive the seal are worshipers of other gods, gods of wood and stone, right? Right? Let's take a look at that before we go to Revelation again. Let's just remind us what Moses told us, how Moses taught us, right? The Most High had his servant, the Levite Moses, teach us, praise the Most High. And let's take a look here. Deuteronomy chapter 4. We're going to stay in Deuteronomy, get 2 witnesses from Moses, but it's still Moses, right? But let's go Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy chapter 4. He's telling what's going to happen to our fathers as a result of worshiping other gods. So Deuteronomy chapter 4, I'm going to read from chapter 4, verse 27 down to verse I'm going to read just 3 verses, 27 to 29. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 4, 27 to 29. Watch here. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead you. And there, when you're scattered, you shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek Yahweh thy Most High, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Now, wood and stone. Now, the wood is obviously Christianity because they worship the Christian cross made out of wood. What about the stone? What religion has a prominent stone that people bow down to? What religion has a prominent stone, and where is the stone that they all bow down to? Ah, there you go. They call it a pilgrimage. The pilgrimage is to Mecca. Why? Because Mecca in Saudi Arabia is where Muhammad apparently dictated the Quran. Muhammad dictated the Quran at Mecca. And so if you're a Muslim, you should try at least once in your lifetime to go out there to that spot and you bow to that spot. Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Is that the truth or not? Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Isn't that what they do? Am I lying if I say the Christians really exalt the wooden cross? They kiss the stone. There you go. There you go. Now, let me ask you all Israelites a question. Moses was given the covenant, well, Yah himself. It wasn't even Moses. It was the voice of Yah himself that spoke the covenant from Sinai. Are we commanded to make a pilgrimage to Sinai and bow down to the mountain? Huh? I mean, it wasn't even like we had a messenger. You know, the Bible tells us he spoke the words matter of fact, let's look at it. Deuteronomy chapter 5. We here in the Deuteronomy chapter 5. Let's look at, I'm gonna look at verse 22, and go to verse 27. Deuteronomy chapter 5. It tells us exactly what happened. Deuteronomy 5, 22 to 27. This is after he's given them the covenant. These words, the Bible says, Yahweh spake unto all your assembly. That's the church right there. It didn't say Moses, didn't say I spoke it. He said Yahweh spoke to all your assembly, the whole million plus of y'all out there, your Hebrew Negroes out there. He spoke to all y'all. Y'all heard him, right? These words Yahweh spake unto all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire of the cloud and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them unto me. It don't say there that Moses was speaking and some scribe was dictating to him. It said Yah himself did it. And it came to pass when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And ye said, behold, Yahweh our Most High have showed us his glory and his greatness. We have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that the Most High doth talk with man, and he lives. Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our Most High anymore, then we shall die. So this wasn't word of mouth like I heard that you heard. No. All of them heard it. It was more than 1 million witnesses out there. 600 plus men, not including women and children. 600,000 men, not including women and children. There was more than 1 million witnesses that heard with their own ears. And yet, I don't get any command for us to go back to that spot and bow down to it. Do y'all? And I don't get any command for us to go someplace where Moses prayed and bow down to it. Do y'all? So when the Bible says wood and stone and we'll bow to it, you can see what we're dealing with here. This is Islam. See, this is Islam we're dealing with. Okay, Islam. There you go. All right. Now, back to Revelation chapter 9. Now we have a good context. Revelation chapter 9. We have a good context now. Revelation, 2 or 3 witnesses of Islam in the Old Testament. Okay? Okay. Revelation chapter 9, beginning at verse 1. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 4. Remember what we talked about now with the mark, and the mark of the beast, and the seal of Yah. Okay. Revelation chapter 9, from verse 1 down to verse 4. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven onto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. Unto them was given power, as scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Yah in their foreheads. Okay. Who is the star that fell from heaven? Who is the star that fell from heaven? I said a star that fell from heaven. That's Asatan himself. He fell from heaven. And it says that he had a key to the bottomless pit. And he opened up. Now, let me ask you a question. You ever been in a place where there was a lot of smoke? Right? You ever been in a place where there was a lot of smoke, either fire, or you would buy a place where they were burning stuff? What does that feel like? When you're in the smoke, what happens to you when there's a lot of smoke? What happens? First, you can't hardly see, right? Because it gets in your eyes, right? And then you have trouble breathing, correct? Because there's a lot of smoke. He said the place was darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And locusts came out, and they had stings. Who is that? That's the armies of Islam. And they were commanded, don't mess with the people that have the mark of Yah on there for it. Mess with people that don't. That's Christianity. Okay? That's why they were fighting against Christianity. King of the South came at him. Y'all following so far? Okay, y'all got it? Okay. Christians do worship wood of the cross. They worship a white Jesus who hung on the cross. They do it so much that they hang that cross around their neck. And every building that they worship in has that cross on it. So yeah, y'all do. The Bible says, you shall not make any image of anything, whether it's in heaven or the earth. So yes, the Christians do worship a cross. You don't want to admit it, but the proof is everything. Everybody could see it. Asatan makes sure everybody can see the proof, because every Christian church that you go into has a picture of a white Jesus, and he's usually holding a cross. Sometimes they put it in his chest. Don't tell me you don't worship no cross. And on top of every Christian building where y'all put all your money for your building fund, there's a cross. Okay, there you go. So come on now. If you want to be real, let's be real. Don't call me a liar when I'm telling the truth. And everybody in here bearing witness, because everybody has seen a church. Have you ever seen a Christian church without a cross? Come on now. Tell me now. Have you seen a Christian church without a cross? You can go to Africa. You can go to Africa and you'll see a white Jesus. Wait, am I lying or not? You can go to Africa, Black Africa, and you'll see a white Jesus. So don't come in here talking about I'm lying. Be real, brethren. Be real. Be real now. You want to be real? Let's be real. Don't come out here with that foolishness. Any city in the world where there's a Christian church, there's a cross there. Stop it. I know you butthurt because I'm telling the truth. It's all good though. I'm only telling the truth that the Most High gives to save people. The truth shall set you free. Okay, so yes, Christianity is the wooden cross, and Islam is the stone. Okay, Islam is the stone. The cross has always been white Jesus, y'all. Now, they started off with a black Jesus, but then they changed it. They changed it. Okay, and there's no religion called Christianity in the Bible. It doesn't exist. Of course, Christians wouldn't know that because they don't actually read the Bible. You shouldn't come in here with that, brother, because you're just going to get spanked. Anyway, let's go back to Revelation chapter 9. I'm tired of having fun with this fool. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 9. Okay. So they shouldn't mess with anybody but those that don't have the seal of Yah. That is the Christians that started with Catholicism and ended up being Protestants and are whores of Rome. Okay. Let's continue. Wait, we're not finished yet. Verse 5. Hey, look, that's why, as a side note, brothers and sisters that are watching this on YouTube or listening on Power Talk, or those that are in the chat here, you will bear witness. Do I take anything out that's not in the Bible? Do I not give you 2 or 3 witnesses for every word that I'm teaching from the word? Do I do that or don't I? So like, I don't make stuff up. It comes from the pages of this book. Is that correct? Is that correct? See, so nobody could tell me I'm making this up or no, this is not true. It's only not true if you don't believe this book. If you don't believe this book, okay, in your mind is not true. Like, I could understand a person from Islam coming to me saying you lie. I could hear that. Because this goes opposite of the Quran. This is not the Quran. I can understand a person from Judaism telling me you lie because they follow the Talmud. This ain't no Talmud. You understand? I get it. But somebody coming here with just a New Testament Christian and never have read Genesis to Revelation ever and gonna tell me what's a lie? Come on, man. Come on, stop it, man. Stop. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. And I usually use Moses, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Zephaniah, Zechariah, Amos, Hosea, all of them witnesses, David. Come on now. You don't come with that. You just can't. You can't. You can't deal with it, brother. I'm sorry. You can't. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So now I'm having too much fun. That's my problem today. Revelation chapter 9. All right. So here you go. Revelation chapter 9. Let's start at verse 5 now. Let's start at verse 5. And listen, I want you to watch this now. I'm going to go from verse 5 to 10. Revelation 9, 5 to 10. And I want you to watch the time prophecy. There's a time prophecy in these 5 verses, right? There's a time prophecy here, okay? So I want you to watch for it because I already told you, but we've been talking about a lot of things, but I want you to look for it here. There's a time prophecy in here. Verses 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is really 6 verses. You're going to see the time prophecy in there, okay? Tell me where it is and what it is. I'm going to read it right now. Okay, you ready? Here we go. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when it striketh a man. And in those days men shall seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were faces as faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and they were stings in their tails, and their power was given to hurt men 5 months. Where's the time prophecy? There's a time prophecy in there. Where is it? Come on now. Come on, brethren. Where's the time prophecy and how much time is it? There's a time prophecy. That's right. There you go. Very good, Jacoba. So now, how many years is that in prophetic time? How many years is that in prophetic time? That's right. That's right. 150 years. Praise the Most High. That's it. So it says it twice in those 6 verses, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It says it twice in verse 5 and in verse 10. It says 5 months. Now, just so happens that the Byzantine Empire lost a battle to the Ottomans in 1303, Dimbos, Battle of Dimbos. 150 years later, in 1453, the Ottoman Empire defeated the Byzantine Empire. Remember what it said. It said it was to sting them, but not kill them. What does that mean? So in other words, Rome was still in charge of Christianity. The Ottomans were trying to destroy Christianity and take over, but prophecy was against them. They weren't going to be able to do it, but they did beat them down for 150 years. Okay, they did beat them down for 150 years. All right, y'all got that? Everybody see that? So 1303 to 1453, that was the fall. That was a battle that went on for 150 years between Byzantine and Ottoman. And when Ottoman captured Constantinople and changed the name to Istanbul, that was 1453. Okay, that was 1453. There you go. Now, I just want to, before the current pope, the pope before this, his real name was Ratzinger, right? He was a German. And his name, they always give popes a new name, something like John or Paul or whatever. This one was called, what was he called? Benedict. He was called Benedict, right? Y'all remember that? The pope before this one, it was Benedict. And when Benedict became the pope, when he first became the pope, right? He was going to visit Turkey. This is true. He was getting ready to visit Turkey, right? And before he visited Turkey, he made an announcement that he was going to go visit. But this is what he said. He said, on our way, we're going to go through Turkey and we're going to visit Constantinople. That's what he said. And man, he had the people in Istanbul and the Turkish nation upset because that wasn't no slip of the tongue. That wasn't no slip of the tongue. He purposely said that. So they took it over in 1453 and changed the name to Istanbul. And homie was saying, I'm going to visit Constantinople. And there were death threats. He had death threats. But just let me ask you, here's another question for y'all. How could what would make him feel so comfortable and bold as to call it Constantinople and not worry about it? Why would he not worry about that? What went ahead of him to prepare the way? What entity went ahead of him to prepare the way? We've been studying this, so there was a special group of people that they send ahead of him to. I don't even want to get. If I say this word, you're going to know. To infiltrate, to take over. They infiltrated, and they were inside, and they take over from the inside. Who was that? No, not the U.S. Not the U.S. That's right. Jacobo guy. He was comfortable because he already knew he had within there, the Jesuit order had been there for centuries, had already taken over for decades, had already been in there, had already been working through them. Plus, yes, they have the CIA too. So he wasn't worried about it. You can call it Constantinople. He wasn't worried about it. You see where we are in Earth's history, right? You see where we are right now. Okay, that's how that game works. Why do you think a dictators are power hungry by nature, right? I mean, if you got a guy that's a dictator, right? He's into power. I mean, I don't care what else you want to say about him. He's into power and he don't want to share that power. That's why he's called what? A dictator. Italy had a dictator named Mussolini. Y'all heard of him. Why would he decide all of a sudden to say, I'm going to sign the Lateran Treaty with Vatican and I'm going to share power. I'm going to let them have their own country within my nation. Why do you think he would do that? Come on now. The way is prepared. And remember what we talked about. The 144,000 prepare the way for the return of Messiah. Well, that's the town got his people that prepared the way for him too. He got his people that prepared the way for him as well. See, so we see where we are. You see how it all comes together? Praise the Most High. So you see the 150-year period is telling you what happened. It was before 1844, right? And it's telling you that 150-year period, 1303 from the Battle of Dembos all the way to the fall of the Byzantine Empire in 1453. There's your 150 years. Okay, and it said didn't kill them, because you know when Islam gets a foothold somewhere, it takes over. It's like Christianity. It doesn't just come in and say, okay, I'm going to share this land with you. It takes over. I mean, that's what happens. Okay, and if you don't convert, you're going to have a problem. That's what happened in all lands where you have Islam. All lands are like that. They come in, and if you don't convert, they will hurt you. They will hurt you. Okay, period. That's how that works. Okay, so now let's keep going. So now Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. Y'all really gonna see this one. Ready? I'm gonna let y'all tell me who was talking about. I'm not even gonna say nothing. You're gonna tell me. I'm just gonna read the scriptures. Okay, ready? Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. Talking about these locusts that came out of the bottomless pit of smoke. Watch what it says about them. And they had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit. So you had something that fell from heaven and opened the bottomless pit, but out of the bottomless pit came this messenger. It's a sign. Angel is a messenger. Here come a messenger out of the bottomless pit. And this angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, and in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon. That means destroyer. Who is the angel of the bottomless pit that came out with the locusts? Who is that? Y'all know who the locusts are. So who is the angel? Who's the messenger? Who's the messenger? No. He came out the bottomless pit. Nope. Let's go back. Let's go back for a second. Y'all should know, because what are we talking about here? That's right. Castle King. Ding, 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 ding. That's right. So wait, let's look at it again. Let's look at it again. That's right. Let's look at it again. Verse 1, right? Revelation 9:1. The fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So Asatan fell from heaven, and he had the key of the bottomless pit, and he opened it. But this next one said, and they had a king over them in verse 11, which was the angel of the bottomless pit. So this messenger came out of the pit with the locusts, and he was the leader of the locusts. Right? That's right. There you go. That's Muhammad. Wait. Let me ask you a question. If you speak against Muhammad in front of a bunch of Muslims, will they just disagree with you and walk away? Question. If you speak against Muhammad in front of a bunch of Muslims, will they just say, okay, we disagree with you and walk away? Exactly. They will kill your behind, and they will do it with knives and swords. They will cut you up. They'll kill you. That's right. Which tells you that at the very least, we can say they revere. Can I say they revere Muhammad? But really, if you're going to kill over a brother like that, you worshiping him. I mean, right? I mean, people speak against Moses. Hebrews ain't trying to kill you for that. People speak against Messiah. We're not trying to kill you for that, right? We're not trying to kill you. You can speak against the word. You can speak against Moses. You can speak against Isaiah. You can speak against Jeremiah. We're not gonna hurt you. Is this brother bothering y'all? Okay, let me fix it. If he's bothering everybody, man, we got to take care of it. We got to take care of the brother. If he's bothering us, man, I didn't realize he was, being such a difficult one. All right. Yeah, we fear the truth. That's why we study the word. Okay. So the angel of the bottomless pit is Muhammad. They will kill you. As a matter of fact, let me ask y'all this. Who are they honoring when they go to Mecca? Why is that spot so sacred to them? Why is the spot of Mecca so sacred? Why is that spot sacred? Why is the spot sacred? There's a reason why the spot is sacred. Why is it so sacred? It's sacred because that's where Muhammad first started dictating what became the Quran. It's sacred because Muhammad was there dictating the Quran. That's why that spot is sacred. Okay, so that's why it's a sacred spot. So let me ask you, the Most High of Israel, does he tell the children of Israel that every spot a prophet walked was sacred? Does he tell you that even where Messiah walked, you got to bow down to it? You understand? Does he do that? No, he doesn't do that. And yet, in Islam, Muhammad is sacred. He himself is sacred. So that where he was hanging out is a sacred spot. And that's why they have the building there. And that's why they bow down to it. You understand? So that's the angel that was over the bottomless pit. That's called Apollyon. Now, we know that by the time the Ottoman Empire fell or came into existence, that Muhammad had been dead. Like he was dead. You know, he lived in the 7th century and then he died. But his book and his message is what they were fighting under, right? The message of Islam is from Muhammad. The Quran is from Muhammad, right? I mean, right? So that's why he is the leader of that movement, right? I mean, Muhammad is the leader of the Islamic movement. I mean, right? And they all say Allah, 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 but they say Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. That's what they say. Allah is God, Muhammad is his prophet. That's what they say. Allahu Akbar. Allah is great, and Muhammad is his prophet. That's what they say. Exactly. The Most High didn't even show us, and now you know why he didn't show our fathers where Moses was buried. You know why? Because they would have done just like they do in Mecca. They would have created a spot and had everybody go in there to worship it. That's why. Exactly right. That's why he did not show the children of Israel where Moses was buried. Moses walked up in the mountain. It was dead up there, and nobody knew where he was buried because they would have made a worship image out of it, just like they did, just like the Arabs did with Muhammad, just like they did. Okay, so yeah, so you can see the difference here, and now you see the role of Islam in the movements. We're not finished with them yet. We still going to see them after the 6th seal for a second, but we'll save that for next time by the grace of the Most High. We'll go through that on Friday, next Friday, by the grace of the Most High. Okay, but I forgot that dude's name, Gecko, whatever his name was. You see how quick they get offended when you're speaking the truth. And I'm speaking the truth from the word. So that's why I say to y'all that and I'm so happy, I'm very proud of y'all because you wasn't trying to argue with that fool. You was just trying to tell him to be quiet so you could focus on the study. And he was trying his best to disrupt the study. And you see that this is what happens, right? This is what happens. So that's why I don't argue with people about nothing. If I have my opinion, I give it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If I don't like yours, I don't like yours. I don't need to tell you about your opinion. That's you, right? And if I'm teaching this word from the Most High's word, and I believe it's his word, that's what I believe. If you don't, you don't. You don't have to fight. You know, I ain't gonna slash you with a sword because you don't believe Moses or you don't believe Messiah or whatever. Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't even know I could do that, Brother Williams. But we got to talk about that. We'll talk about that because I didn't even know I could do that. But I will do that. That's a good idea. That's an excellent idea. Matter of fact, I will do that. He said I should make some moderators. That's a good idea. So, Brother Williams, if you don't mind, if you didn't email me, we'll figure it out. Okay, we'll figure it out. I didn't even know I could do that. I got to figure out how to do that. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. Look, so we're going to come back and we're going to do the 6th. You know, we got to take our time. I'm going to tell you the 6th trumpet is going to take all the next weekend. That's going to be Friday, Sabbath in the morning, and Saturday and afternoon. It's going to be all weekend. That's how much we got to cover in the 6th trumpet, just like we did with the 6th church and the 6th seal, if you recall. So the 6th trumpet is heavy. So we're going to get into a lot of information on there, and yeah, we're going to do that. All right, we're going to do that. But don't worry. Praise the Most High. That's why again, I'm glad y'all did what y'all did, how you handled. Yeah, but Brother Williams, if you would, we'll touch base, and then we'll figure out how to do that, because I don't know how to do it, but we'll figure out how to do it. Okay. Thank you all very much. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High for His word. Praise the Most High for His spirit. Praise the Most High for the truth, for the Messiah. Praise the Most High. Yes. So please have a safe weekend. Enjoy what's left of it. Okay. Bless Most High, bless you and keep you, and cause His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Please read. I don't care if it takes you 10 years. Read this book. Go through this book with prayer. Most High bless your way. Go through this book. Go through it. And when you finish, when you accomplish the end, go back. Go start again. Most High bless you. Spiritual exercise. Praise the Most High. Shalom.